Hey guys, my name is Seth and I'm the co-founder of Mora. I wanted to create a really quick setup guide to help you get started using Mora to organize, analyze, and synthesize your research papers. Once you start a review in Mora, you're going to have a setup guide in the top left-hand side of your screen. Let's start by naming our review. Today I'm going to look at the effects of creatine intake on mental performance. Next, we're going to add papers to our review. You have a couple different options to do this. You can explore these on your own. Today, I'm just going to look at AI search. What are the effects of taking creatine on mental performance? I'm going to run this query, and what it's going to do is create a search strategy. It's going to go off and find those papers for me using the search strategy, and then re-rank all of those papers. You can always iterate on this search strategy as you're going through this. And so once this runs and grabs papers, I'll show you how to do just that. So I've got papers from AI search, and I can always iterate with recommendations or just simply replying and altering the search strategy that way. For the sake of the demo, I'm just going to add all these papers to my library. Once I do that, you'll see my library start to populate with these papers. And what's happening is we're putting all those papers down to a DB. We're then also finding missing metadata for those papers. So think about if the journal name is missing, the year, the DOI is missing, etc. We're finding all these things because these are prerequisites for us to really having a strong base of literature that we can understand. Also, it's prerequisites to really fun things like enrichments. My favorite thing to do right now with enrichments is custom enrichments, but we have a lot of presets that you can choose from various vendors to ensure that you have data completeness inside of your library, but even more so that you can start to extract the data that you're interested in based on your research question. So I'll create a enrichment called screening tag, and I want to better understand which of these papers focus on adults aged 18 to 40. Mark them as yes if they do, and no if they don't. And I'll just specify an answer here, or I can just use yes, no, maybe. I'll run this enrichment, and you'll notice that I'll start to get the screening tag populated. So it's going to look inside of these papers and see if it matches the criteria that I gave. We're getting a couple maybes, so I'll definitely probably check those. I see some yeses as well. So what I like to do from here, especially when I'm screening my initial literature, is I'm going to hide some of these columns so that I can get a better view. And I have my screening tag here. And so what I can do from here is for all of my yeses, I can add a priority of high. All of my maybes, I can add a priority of medium, and all my no's add a priority of low. It just depends on my criteria that I'm defining. But you can see how you can start to get really quick with iteration on your library and also extract some really great data from your library. For example, I'll show main findings. So this is extracting what are the main findings from these papers. I can also always chat with my library. So I can say, I'll just talk to it. Can you summarize the main findings of this library and tell me the strengths and weaknesses of this library? So I'll send that and it'll start to do that. So once again, there's a lot that you can do inside of the library, but I also want to just hint it to you that the library is not all that's there inside of Mora. The library is definitely the central command center, right? Where you're looking at papers, you're understanding papers, etc. But we also have a list of tools that you can explore inside of Mora that you can essentially build your own tool belt or toolkit. And so a couple tools that I like is the synthesis report. I'll show you that really quick. And I got a little confetti here because I finished the onboarding, and maybe AI writing. And so as I'm first going into this first tool, I'll go ahead and run a synthesis report to summarize the main methodologies, findings, and gaps in literature of those 15 papers that I added from AI search. Something that I see right off the bat is that RCTs, or randomized controlled trials, and systematic reviews are the main frameworks used to evaluate this question. It looks like there is a positive correlation for creatine intake and enhancing cognitive performance on brain health. And some gaps that I'm seeing is that there's really a lack of diversity in the study populations for the papers that I selected. So maybe I'll go back and try to find more papers with diverse populations. Really quickly is the AI writing tool. And what I love about this is that I can generate a review outline on the fly, and then I can start to fill in that outline especially if I was like ripping through full text and making annotations using the annotations tool, I can inject those here. There's a lot of things that you can do in here. I'll show you once you have text. If you go to Ask AI, you can improve your writing, add an academic tone, elaborate, make concise, etc. My favorite is peer review, which essentially will add comments down on all of your writing and give you suggestions for improvement, just like peer review would do. Nonetheless, I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you really add papers to Mora, explore the tools, and start to favorite them and add them to your sidebar and make your own research workflow.